When you think of a real, true global leader, one name probably pops into your head: Nelson Mandela. And for good reason. He's so much more than just a historical figure. He's become a symbol of peace, equality, and just incredible moral strength. So today, we're going to dive into the life of the man who showed the world that leadership isn't really about power. It's about sacrifice and sticking to your principles no matter what. And to really get Mandela, we have to start with a question that pretty much defined his entire life. What is the true cost of freedom? His journey wasn't just a political one. It was this deeply personal and often incredibly painful quest to find the answer.
All right, so where did this extraordinary journey even begin? To really understand the man, we have to go way back to his earliest days, long before the world knew his name.
Now, this might surprise you, but Mandela's story actually starts with royalty. He was born into the Thembu royal family, so a sense of discipline and leadership was baked into his childhood. But he didn't just coast on his title. Nope. Instead, he chose to study law, becoming one of the first black lawyers in South Africa, determined to fight for justice from inside the system. And that legal training? Well, it was about to be put to the ultimate test. He was on a collision course with the central conflict of his life and his nation, the absolutely brutal system of apartheid. So, what exactly was apartheid? It was so much more than just prejudice. This was a brutal, state-enforced system designed from the ground up to systematically strip black people of their rights, their dignity, and their future. It was this deep, ugly injustice that poisoned every single part of South African society.
Faced with a reality like that, Mandela knew he couldn't just stand by and do nothing. So he joined the African National Congress, or the ANC, to officially begin his protest. In the beginning, he and the ANC were all about peaceful, non-violent resistance. They were hoping to change the system with a moral argument.
But the state responded with brutal violence. And this is where the story takes a turn, marking the beginning of the darkest, most challenging chapter of Mandela's life. It was a time of immense sacrifice that would push his resolve right to the breaking point.
For fighting against injustice, for demanding equality, Nelson Mandela was arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Just let that sink in for a moment. A life sentence for demanding basic human rights.
He would end up spending the next 27 years in prison, most of them on the infamous Robben Island. And despite the absolute harshest conditions you can imagine, his spirit, it never broke. His hope for a free and equal South Africa never died. In fact, it only got stronger with every single year that passed.
But what happens next is truly one of the most remarkable turnarounds in modern history. See, Mandela's story doesn't end in that prison cell. It transforms into a story of liberation for an entire nation.
When he was finally released in 1990, Mandela faced this monumental choice. Think about it. After decades of suffering, he absolutely could have chosen revenge. He could have plunged the nation into a bloody civil war. But instead, he did something radical. He chose forgiveness, reconciliation, and unity. He knew from all those years of reflection that revenge would just consume the very nation he fought so hard to free. Forgiveness wasn't weakness. It was the ultimate act of strength and brilliant leadership.
The power of that choice was undeniable. Just 4 years after walking out of prison, Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first democratically elected president in a free and fair election for every single citizen. This was it. This was the peaceful end to apartheid that he had dedicated his entire life to.
But his presidency was just the start of his final act. His true lasting legacy isn't just about winning a political victory. It's about the profound moral principles he lived by every single day.
If his life taught the world one single thing, it's this: peace is stronger than violence. He didn't just say this, he proved it. He showed the entire world that moral strength could actually overcome systemic oppression, and that forgiveness was a far more powerful weapon than hatred could ever be.
So what were the qualities that made him such an extraordinary leader? Well, it was this incredible combination of unbreakable courage and unbelievable patience. It was making that radical choice of forgiveness over hatred. It was his unwavering commitment to justice for all. And at his very core, it was this deep, unshakable belief in the power of unity and peace.
And of course, the world took notice. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 for his work. His election as president symbolized a new dawn for his country. And today, he's still a global icon, a universal symbol for human rights and the incredible power of the human spirit.
And so that brings us back to where we started.
Nelson Mandela's life gives us a pretty powerful answer. One person, armed with unwavering principles and moral courage, can absolutely change the world. His story leaves us with a final, really important question to ask ourselves. What principles are we willing to stand for in our own lives?